Hello there! Welcome to my channel. Some of you may have known me as Skeptic Raptor. I'm done with politics. That shit is gay as fuck. This is the new channel. This is the new face. And this is what I'm doing now. Don't like it, blow me. Anyways, Cyberpunk 2077. The game everybody's been talking about since 2 years before it was fucking released. Now, you may have read the title and noticed that I'm doing a review of it. And I'm doing a brutally honest review, which is the only kind of review I know how to do. This game is significantly overhyped. Let's get the elephant in the room out of the way immediately. This game has been significantly overhyped since the gameplay trailer dropped in 2018. Let's be real here. A lot of people on Twitter and a lot of people in Reddit think that this game is going to fix their failing marriage, bring their fathers home for the first time in 20 years, and it's going to get them a girlfriend. All, of course, after paying off their student loan debt and giving them a Bel Air mansion. That's a hyperbole, but a lot of people genuinely have extremely high hopes for the game. That's not to say I didn't enjoy the game. Hell, I took my sweet-ass time with that game, and I took over 80 hours over the past 2 weeks in that game being released on Xbox to actually complete the campaign. That's right, I spent close to 100 hours playing this fucking game, fucking monstrosity of a game, so I can make an honest review for you stupid fucks out there. Disclaimer before I get into the rest of the review. I played this game on the Xbox One S. I did not play this game on PC, and as a result, mileage may vary. Because I did play this on a previous gen console, because let's be real, nobody's getting the fucking Xbox Series X until next year, minimum. So with that out of the way, let's get into this game. By the way, spoiler alert, I will be discussing some plot points in the game, and as a part of my review, which may or may not affect how you enjoy the game if you watch this before you play it. Be advised. The game starts with your character creator. You're not allowed to change your name at all, you're just V, which, honestly, that's kind of cool. I'm kind of tired of being Big Dong 69 whenever I play a role-playing game, but you can go through the character creator, it's really intuitive. You can see all the changes you make up close. You can turn your character around and everything like every other standard character creator. But it's incredibly limited. For a game that boasts its incredibly intuitive character creator, the options are extremely limited. Can you put a penis on a woman in this game? Yes. Can you put a woman's voice on a man in this game? Yes. Can you get yourself mommy milkers? No. That's because this game is extremely limited in how you can create your character. To the point where the big boob option looks more like an American standard C cup at best. That being said, everything else is a lot more intuitive. You can change your skin tone vastly. You can go from pure fucking black to my pasty-ass white boy shade. Which, you know, I went with a Latina. But, as I was saying, you can also affect your own, you can also do a lot of things like affecting your cyberware on your face, your body tattoos, you can do blemishes, skin blemishes, scars. Of course, the scars and all that are very limited down to a few options, not many. You can't customize how your character's body is built like in Ark Survival Evolved, which is my personal favorite game of all time at the moment. I just take particular umbrage with that portion because I'm used to playing Ark almost non-stop. I can create my character to be a Cheeto Man, which is built like a fucking bottle cap. If I wanted to in that game, I could do everything tiny except for the arms and have those bitches dangling down to the goddamn floor. If I wanted to in that game, I could have the thickest thighs you have ever seen. If I wanted to in that game, I could make utter monstrosities. I would make shit you would find in Joseph Mengelo's personal lab at Auschwitz-Birkenau in that game, if I had the ability to. But in Cyberpunk, it's different. You can't affect your character's height. You can't affect your character's length of legs, their length of arms, anything like that. You have set proportions. This game boasts being extremely open-ended, but at the same time, at the very beginning of the game, you're closed off. You can't do anything but change superficial appearance. That being said, they really do explain the class system very well. They explain the leveling system very well. I knew exactly what I was doing with the leveling in that moment. Whereas in other games, in other RPGs, you have to be a fucking stan. You have to be reading into this nonstop to completely understand how the leveling system works. Not in Cyberpunk. Everything's laid out plain and bare. The stats and effects when you level it up, right there. And then when you go into perks, everything is right there. And I like that. That being said, we should actually get into talking about the gameplay. The gameplay itself looks pretty good. It's pretty fucking good. But then again, that's a subjective statement, because I play Ark Survival Evolved, and if you know anything about that game, you know that the graphics look like a baked potato that's been blown to shit with a howitzer cannon, in terms of whether or not it's good graphics. These graphics are great, but it's hard for a game these days to not have great graphics, especially on the Xbox. I'm sorry, you have good graphics, that's it. Great graphics are the standard. That is not something you can say is a plus side to this game. Because, like I said before, great graphics are an industry standard for AAA games. You cannot make a AAA game and have shit graphics. You cannot make E.T. the game and release it under a AAA title in 2020. The graphics, that being said, are what people in the classic car community would call a 20-footer. That meaning, it looks almost impeccable from 20 feet away. When your character is standing about 20 feet away from something, it looks great. But when you get into it, the smaller details are missing. They're gone. For example, if you're standing next to a character called Takamura, who, when you meet him in the game, is known for being wire-haired, frizzed out, and fucking whacked to shit because of the death of his boss, and you'll look closely at his hair, it all blends together. All of it, even the whacked out hair on the top of his head, it all blends in. There's no individual fibers, which they boasted in the gameplay reveal trailer. Which, once again, I'm playing this on a previous gen console, so I should expect that, and if you're doing this on the same kind of console, you should as well. That being said, I've also tried this game on the Xbox One base that I got in about 2014 when I pre-ordered Overwatch and was playing Call of Duty on it at the time because I was an FPS scrub and I didn't understand shit about those games, and as a result, I was utter dog shit until I picked up Doom 2016. But that's a story for a different day. Moving on, the gunfighting, it's very good. It's great gun mechanics. Everything's explained in the gun as well. If there's an ability your gun has, you'll know it just by paying attention to the actual gun itself. But if you're like me and you're a Doom-tard, you don't give a fuck. You look at straight DPS, which is prominently displayed right fucking here on the screen. It's a number, 256, for example, DPS. And that's great. I like that. I like that I can find out exactly what my weapon does just by actually paying attention and giving a fuck about the game, which I of course did because I was intending to review it. But then we gotta move on to the story. I'm not gonna give out any major details of the story because it's the fucking story. If you haven't played this game and you're still watching, I want to be courteous. You start out as V, a mercenary in Night City, who's doing jobs in the Little League. You can start out as a corpo, meaning you work on the corporate ladder, a street kid, meaning you're from the south side of Chicago like yours truly, or a nomad, which means you come from outside of Night City with a bunch of fucking hicks, techno hicks, travelers across the United States. And this can affect how you start in three ways. You have three different places you can start the game. I started the game as a street kid. So I started out in a bar in the Watson district. My job was to help out my bar friend, the bartender, and as a result, I had to deal with a guy who wanted me to steal a car for him. I tried to steal the car, and a guy stopped me with a gun. And then corporate security came with Yorinobu Arasaka, who owned that car. I was supposed to be dead, but turns out I was just dumped on the street because the cop who arrested us was a good friend of ours from a previous life, being that he also originated from the same neighborhood as us. You and that merc who actually stopped you from stealing the car, named Jackie Wells, then become good friends. And eventually, when you're actually allowed to play the rest of the game, you play in a mission for a guy named Dex. He's a shot caller in the city who gives you a job. This job, you have to heist the fuck out of relic tech from Yorinobu Arasaka. You have to meet an assortment of people, and you get a bunch of side missions. You can do them, you can take your time, or you can play it like me, and just straight fucking blitzed to Arasaka Tower. Early on in the game, you are given tasks, of course, and they explain to you basic mechanics of the game, like hacking, gunplay, melee combat, etc., etc. And this is what I want to touch on a little bit more in terms of gameplay, the hacking. They don't explain it to you very well at the beginning. You jack in, you play with numbers. Sure, I didn't get it to start out, and I was trying to pay attention. How the fuck is someone who's actually paying attention not getting it, and then you expect me to use the mechanic for the rest of the game? I had to figure that out after the tutorial. I actually avoided hacking until after the tutorial because that was just genuinely badly explained, and I just figured it out by myself. It's easier to figure out an essential gameplay mechanic by yourself than it is when it's explained to you by CD Projekt RedTube. What the fuck? Why is it that I don't get it and I actually paid attention? This is bullshit. Why is it that I have to figure out a core gameplay mechanic by myself? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because this isn't a particularly well thought out mechanic. You can't do very much with it. If you're going to be jacking in and trying to hack something, that's not even how you actually hack. That's just how you get components for items and how you get money called Eurodollars out of things. But the way they explained it in the tutorial is that this was hacking. This was hacking. I didn't get it. I was just randomly tapping away at the grid until I hit the numbers I needed to get the highest tier. Just so that I could actually pass through the tutorial. Quick hacking itself is a lot easier. You use units called RAM when you press right bumper on the Xbox controller in order to hack. It gives you an assortment of options of what you can do with that particular piece of technology that you have scanned. For example, you could disable it in the case of cameras, you could turn it back on, you can use it to distract enemies if you're trying to be stealthy, which why the fuck would you do that in an FPS? I'm sorry, I blitzed right through that shit like a motherfucking Doom guy. Mainly because that's how I play all FPSs. Like a motherfucking Doom guy. But, let's move on from that very briefly, that little side note. The hacking system in and of itself is pretty intuitive and it's pretty simple at the same time, if you actually understand it by paying attention. You'll actually get it fairly quickly. Quick hacking and hacking are two different things, which, when I first saw it, I thought were exactly the same. If I were designing this game, I would make sure that the player knew for absolute certain that not even a retard like me could get it twisted. But back to the story. When you hit Arasaka Tower, you can play it either sneakily or stealthily. Stealthily, or you can go straight blitzing it. You have to play it stealthily for the first about quarter of the mission. When you have to sneak into the tower, and you have to guide a robot through all the vents and shit, so that you can deactivate the security measures within Yorinobu Arasaka's penthouse, so that you can go in, find the chip you're supposed to steal, and then get the fuck out of Dodge. However, this gets badly bungled, because Yorinobu Arasaka commits a grave crime. I'm not going to touch on exactly what it is, because that is a key point in the game's story. You are the witness to this. You and Jackie Wells are the sole witnesses. As you're trying to get out, because now the entire compound is on red alert, you are not going out that front door easy. You go out a window. You're trying to get onto an emergency ladder so you can climb down, but helicopters are already around. Which, honestly, I have no idea how they got there so quickly. They're fucking helicopters. They don't move that fast. And Jackie Wells gets shot as you were attempting to escape the helicopters by jumping off the roof and through a skylight. From here, you have two options. You could either sneak out, which I tried to do, but I'm not good at stealth because I was never a fan of it. Or you could do what I did for about half the portion of you escaping Arasaka Tower, and you could just blitz right on through it. However, you do not have any of your equipped guns. Your equipped guns have been left in a taxi which you used to enter. It's explained by the fact that there's metal detectors and no guns are allowed in the building because corporate assassinations might happen, which apparently did not stop Yorinobu Arasaka from doing it. But that's neither here nor there. You have to pick up guns, initially, by killing or disabling Arasaka agents and taking the guns off their bodies. I did this rather quickly, and I picked myself up a pistol, an SMG, and a shotgun. I then dropped the SMG for a straight AR because that shit is weak as shit. It is weak as fuck, and I hate SMGs in that game. I hate them. Then you can just either sneak your way through, or you can just blitz through Arasaka Tower using a combination of fighting, quick hacking, and sneaking. But I fucked up about halfway through and got noticed. So I had no other option than to straight blitz through the fucking tower, which I did rather handily. However, the ammo system is really whack at this portion of the game. It's really hard to make sure your guns have enough bullets. Which, of course, this can be explained by the fact that you have to sneak your way out optimally. But I didn't do this, so I got punched, I guess. I didn't have enough bullets, so I could not kill the mech at the very end, which I really would have liked to do, but I didn't have enough grenades, I didn't have enough ammo, and I didn't have enough meds to actually fucking beat the thing to death. And either way, I don't really give a fuck at the end of the day about completely playing this game like somebody at Studio Project Red Dick thinks I should play it. So I blitzed right past the very end of it, killed all the human opponents, left the mech alive because I was completely out of bullets, and I went to the elevator with Jackie. We got out the parking garage after a small final fight with Arasaka agents who were confronting some other bandits or something. And then I got into the taxi cab. And unfortunately, since the housing of the chip was damaged, and it needs a cold or a biological environment to be sustained, Jackie had it in his head as you were leaving. Unfortunately, Jackie dies in the fucking car. Jackie dies in the car. That's the truth of it. He dies right there. They killed Jackie Wells about 3 hours into my 90-plus hour playthrough. I didn't even get to see this glorious motherfucker for 5% of the game. He's dead. What the fuck, man? I genuinely like the character. He's the kind of guy I would want to be friends with in real life. And you just kill him outright. You were setting this up to be sort of a sort of a buddy mercenary type narrative, and you killed him right straight up right there. You kill him right there. They didn't even give him a dignified way to go. No, he just bleeds out because he got shot by a helicopter. He just bleeds out right there, and dies. That's it. It's not even a dignified way to go out for a character who was slated to be important early on. They just didn't give a fuck about Jackie Wells. They wrote his character solely to die. There's no way to save him. Which, I mean, that fucking blows. But moving on, in the story, you get shot by Dex because a very important person at the Arasaka Corporation is dead. And as a result, the compound was put on lockdown. So, now the entirety of Night City is looking for the killer of that person, who Dex thinks was you. Dex shoots you in the face. Right there. He just shoots you in the face. That's it. You're gone, and you're dumped at a landfill. Dex is trying to save his own ass by showing off an agent of Arasaka who happens to be Takemura that that he got the guy who killed that person, who he thinks was you. Takemura then ices him straight up, which is bullshit. It is bullshit. I wanted to ice Dex myself. I wanted to ice that fat motherfucker in cold blood. But I got no option to do that, which is fucking stupid. Why would you have a character betray you if you don't have an option to straight ice them? Come on. CD Projekt Red, you know that people would want to fucking ice them. It's fucking stupid. I hate that I don't have the option for that. I genuinely want you to kill that motherfucker as soon as he even thought of putting a bullet in my face. I saw it coming a mile away, and I wanted to fight that motherfucker. I wanted the option to kill him, but I didn't get it. Which, that's a personal umbrage for me. It might not be for you if you play this game. As Takemura drives your corpse back to Night City, you are engaged by scavengers. You can kill them in a fight while driving, which is a bit hard, seeing as there are constant twists and turns in the roads Takemura has decided to take. So it's a bit difficult if you're a retard like me. But as I was saying, you have some dialogue options where you explain to Takemura that you did not kill that man. It was actually Yorinobu Arasaka, and for some reason, he believes you. I don't know why he'd believe you, but he believes you if you select that option. And you open the path, and you open a certain mission path, which you can take all the way to the end of the campaign. V experiences some malfunctions towards the end of this mission, and the player will attribute it, probably on their first playthrough, to damage done by a bullet to the head, and you would not be dumb to think that. I'd actually say, it's a pretty sound idea you had. It's obviously because your character got shot in the fucking face. So it probably messed with your cybernetics. Wrong. It's explained when you go back into Night City and talk to Dr. Vic, the Ripper Doc. By the way, people who put in cybernetics into your body are called Ripper Docs in this game. He explains that there's a biochip in your head. That biochip has a construct of a personality on it. And he is Keanu Reeves' character, who is very famous in Cyberpunk fans, Johnny Silverhand. Johnny Silverhand is in your fucking head, and the biochip cannot be taken out without killing you because you were dead and it saved you. Now, Keanu Reeves is overwriting your brain, and if you don't get this thing out of your head safely, it will kill you in a few weeks' time, as Vic explains. So you're now on a quest to do that. You will talk to Takemura, and you can do whatever you please after you do a couple of dialogue options with Takemura. You can do whatever you please. Really, at that point, you can do whatever. You can treat this game like it's GTA 5 free roam. There is no timer on your character's lifespan. You will not die if you don't do all the missions immediately. Because the weeks thing, it's kind of never expanded upon. You are not given a timer, and I like that. Night City is a huge place with a lot of things to do. And if you put a timer on me, that would be fucking gay. That would be stupid. I would not have paid $60 for that. To be given a giant city to explore, to not be allowed to explore it by stupid time caps. From there, you can do whatever you wanted, but I progressed through the story until about halfway through it, when I decided, fuck it, let's do some side missions, let's see about those. I did a bunch of side missions and continued on through the story, and that's about as much as I'll touch on, because at that point, mileage may vary with the story. There's a lot of variation, and there's a lot of different ways your story can pan out depending on how you play the game and the quest lines. So anything can happen depending on your playthrough. So I really shouldn't be going on beyond what will happen. What will happen is what I've just mentioned. That's all I can tell you for the story, because I'm not sure how you'll play the game. And I don't want to give away that many major plot points for people who haven't played the game yet. Now let's talk about some more of my own personal umbrages before we get on with my score. Personal umbrage number 1 that I haven't already touched on is the guns. There's not enough of them. There isn't enough of them, and this problem extends to the cars in the game too. There's a lot of guns in this game, don't get me wrong, but there's not enough. I wanted more guns. I wanted more different kinds of guns, man. Let's talk about pistols for a second. You have semi-autos, and you have some dumb-looking revolvers, and you have one good-looking revolver. I want more revolvers. You have some semi-autos, but they all generally look the same. There are no machine pistols in this game that fire like a Glock 18 in Modern Warfare 3. Which I wanted. I want more variation in this. This is a game that prides itself on being gigantic. But the weapons variation is about as small as the average Cyberpunk 2077 fan's penis. It's just so tiny. There's not enough. I find the same guns over and over and over again on the ground, no matter where I go. And the same goes for the cars. There's not enough of them. There's not enough cars and motorcycles in this game, okay? There's not enough different kinds. Sure, there's like 8 different kinds of Quadra Type 66s, but you can't boast those as unique models. That's like saying the Mustang EcoBoost GT, Shelby GT350, Mach 1, and GT500 are all different cars. No, they're all Mustangs. They're different Mustangs. They're different Type 66s. They are not unique cars. They just look slightly different from the base Type 66. And that's a persistent problem with the cars in this game. You will run into the same car a million different times. Which, if you know America, you know we as Americans love cars. We can't go without them. American culture and car culture are intertwined. For better or for worse, Americans will always have cars, and they will always love cars. Night City takes place in Southern California, which is in the United States. There's not enough different kinds of cars. Why aren't there more different kinds of cars? You want to make this game accurate to LA? Because that's what this city is based on. You want to make it similar in layout? Cool. Now put more cars. I could walk in LA and I could find 30 different makes in 30 minutes. I could find 70 different models in 30 minutes. But if I go into Night City, I'll find 5 different makes and 5 models in 30 minutes. There's not enough variation with the guns or the cars. It's just variations upon the same shit. And let's be real here. Night City, they like to talk about how many different guns they have because Second Amendment isn't only for the rich, they say. Why aren't there more different kinds then? Why is it's the same guns over and over again? I just think that CD Projekt Red Dawn didn't really give a shit enough to give us a ton of guns. Why didn't they give us more guns? Well, I'll tell you why. Because they're planning on paid DLC because they lost $1 billion on this stupid game. That's right. You think it's going to be The Witcher again? Ho, you're wrong. It's not going to be The Witcher again because The Witcher is going to be a unique experience. CD Projekt Red was universally beloved by Redditors and 9gag cunts. So they could do that, because these idiots will buy The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt forever. Okay, they'll buy it forever. So as a result, they can afford to give out free DLC, but there won't be free DLC with this. There won't be. They're going to put more guns in this game. They're going to put more different kinds of cars in this game. They're going to put more clothes. They're going to put an option to do height and all that, like I've already said. But they're going to make you pay for it. Accept reality now for all those of you who think there's going to be free DLC. There isn't going to be. It's not going to be free. These people fucked you over. If you were hoping for free DLC, there's not going to be anything like that in this game. They're going to make you pay for all that stuff you want. And I don't like that. I don't like that. This is an incomplete game in that regard. There isn't... You boasted a lot, and you gave us basically none of what you boasted. I'm sorry, but that's an incomplete game. Onto the animations, which are another personal umbrage of mine. Holy shit. It's another 20-footer situation. They generally look good from about 20 feet away. They look almost perfect, even. But you can tell right away once you get closer and you talk to somebody that they did not mocap faces. They only mocapped walking animations or swinging animations. They did not mocap faces. The lips move like this. Regardless of what the person is saying. They're saying, get out, it's get out. It's not get out, like an ordinary person's lips would go. They did not mocap the faces. There's not enough different lines for different people, and at a certain point, it feels like I'm meeting the same Night City resident over and over and over again. Unless they're named, they are not unique. They're not new, and they're not interesting. Sure, there are crowds all over the place. I found crowds, but none of them as big as I've seen in trailers. Except a couple of times. Except for one time, which is very late in the game. One time. And it's not like this is randomly generated as you walk around the city. This is a mission. This would not form normally. This game just does not have the power to make crowds like that. And another thing, there's some jank-ass points in the game. There are glitches to hell and back. In one late mission, I had to restart from a checkpoint about 5 different times before I could actually kill the last enemy, because he TP'd under the fucking map 4 times and was just teleporting all over the map, and I couldn't shoot him. So I had to restart 5 times. 5. What the hell were they doing all this time? You were developing this game for 6 fucking years. If you're going to be developing a game for not even 6 years, 8. If you're going to be developing a game for a decade, then I expect near perfection, if not perfection. And CD Projekt Red did not give it to us. They did not give it to me. I paid them what they asked me to pay. I paid them $60 for this game. I even pre-ordered it 3 days early for them. And I did not get perfection. They announced this in 2012, okay? I was 10 years old when this game was announced. I'm almost 20 now, and this game came out. And it is not perfect. This game should have come out on the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One initially. This game should have been available for the past 6 years, maybe even 7. And there should have been a sequel by now. For any other studio, it's possible. But the thing with CD Projekt Red is that they are too ambitious. If you want to be ambitious, that's cool. That's even admirable. But stop kneecapping yourself by putting up constant expectations. You want to make it for next gen? Cool. But don't release it on the previous gen, or the game will be jank as fuck. And the game we got is jank as fuck in certain places. I didn't get hyper jank. But that's because I'm playing on the Xbox One S, which is the upgraded version of the base Xbox One. Okay? That's the only reason. That is the only reason. If I were playing on the base Xbox One, and I did, just so I could tell you this, it is jank as hell. It is janky. It is weird. It is wonky. Physics glitches a lot. Not a lot, but often enough that you'd notice it. And as a result, the game is stupidly priced. I'm sorry, I don't want to pay $60 for this. This was not a good price. This game should have been priced at $40. For what I got, this game should not have been AAA priced. Just because you're a AAA studio does not mean you're a AAA price-worthy game. Why on earth would you have priced this game at $60 if it runs like a $60 game I bought about 3 years ago? It runs about as smooth. And to be perfectly honest with you, the game itself is kind of lackluster. It's like GTA 5. It's GTA 5 with cybernetic enhancements. It's not special at all, actually. I'm sorry. You could play this like your GTA. You could play it like it's Doom. You could play it like it's Call of Duty. You could play it like it's Skyrim. You could play it like it's Breath of the Wild. But at the end of the game, it's lackluster. It's still lackluster. There's not enough options for completing the game. And speaking of options, let's get into the actual story elements. If you play the game enough, you make relationships with characters. Why is it then that there's only one romantic option in the game? If I know 10 different people, that means I have 10 different romantic options feasibly. I could date any one of those people. Especially in a video game where sexual preference does not matter. You could do anyone. You could be anything. Why is it that I could only get into a romantic relationship with one person? Judy Alvarez. Why could I only get into a romantic relationship with one person? Still waiting on an answer. Come on. Come on, CD Projekt Red 2. Give it to me. Come on, tell me now. Why? Why can I only have one? When feasibly, I could date every person in that game that is named. And I'll tell you why. Because they didn't think far enough ahead. They didn't think what the player could have possibly wanted. What they thought of was what they needed to make the game run. Because this game was too ambitious and they spent too much time on the little things. Far too much time. To the point where I hate to say it, but this game, it's incomplete. It does not run well on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, unless you have an upgraded version which came out more recently. Which for a lot of people this year is not an option. It's not an option in 2020. This game should have been released in 2021. They should have delayed it again. And it should have only been next-gen console only. I'm sorry. This should have been an Xbox One X, Xbox Series X, PC, and PS5 exclusive. This game has no business being on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. It is too burdensome. It is far too burdensome on the Xbox's carrying capacity. This game is so powerful. This game requires so much power and so much performance that when I was running it on my Xbox One, that one I was talking about earlier, that I've had for almost 6 years now, for 6 years, almost 7 years now, that the console was so overworked, it got overheated and shut down 5 different times in a 3-hour play session. Meaning, this game shut off 5 times in 180 minutes. Which, if I'm going to be running the quick maths right here, it shut off about once every 40 minutes. About once every 38 minutes, it shut down. Like I said, this game has no business running on underpowered consoles. It has no business being on previous gens. It has no business being on anything but next gen and PC. But they put it there anyway. And you want to know why they did it? Money. Money, money, money. And they didn't give a fuck about anything but making their investment back. That's a lot of my umbrages with the game. Not all of them. I have a lot more to rant about, but it's already been 40 minutes. So, I'm going to talk about how I would score this game. I'm going to be giving this game 2 scores. A professional score and a meme score. The professional score, I will be giving out what I would do as a games journalist if I were to be rating the game. I will be taking into account all the faults of this game's stars, and then putting it into a well-formulated review and giving it a score out of 100. And the meme score, I will discuss everything I've already discussed, talk shit about the game and its developers, and then I'll give it a score, of which I'll be fast and loose, and I wouldn't dare put on my professional record because it's fucking stupid. I'll be starting out giving these games like an academic. These games start off with a score of 100 each. 100 points out of 100, because it will be unfair to rate this game from 0 up. It's more fair to rate this game from 100 down instead. If we're going to be taking into account the fact that there are less romantic options than characters, that's not a big deal for a lot of people, and that's not a big deal not a giant deal for me. It's a big deal for someone who wants to expand on every character, though. And as a result, I'll be taking off 5 points for that. Apologies for the brief cut. Something happened outside my gamer cave, so I had to take care of that. I'll be right back. As I said before, if you want to expand on every character, that's a very big deal. There are less romantic options. Next, I will take 10 points off of this for the fact that the graphics are weak as hell. I'm sorry, they're very weak. They look great from afar. They look great from about 10 feet away, 20 feet away, but then you get in close and you see it for what it really is. It's fucking bad. I took 5 points away because the physics can get janky at times. I gave 5 points back to the game because the gunfighting is excellent. I'll be taking away another point because there is less variation in the automobiles. That's not a very big deal, really. That's really just me being a nitpicking douchebag. I'm going to take away 3 points because there is not much in terms of gun variation. You will find the same guns over and over again, no matter where in the city you go. And I've been everywhere in the city, every zone, including outside of the city as well. If I'm going to be giving points back again, I will be giving back a further 5 points for the variation in the characters. It's a very diverse game in terms of background, ethnically, physically. There's a character for everybody in this game. You can find yourself in basically anybody in this game. The game is diverse. This can appeal to literally anybody. So regardless of politics, I will be giving points because this can appeal to everyone. I'm going to have to take away points again, however, because a lot of the characters are just touched on 1 or 2 times and then never again. So I'll take away 2 points, and that's it. That's the main... Oh, right, the character creator. I'll be giving back 3 points for the character creator being as intuitive as it is, but I'll have to take away 2 points because it's not as intuitive as I would like. So really, I ought to have just given 1 point for the character creator. And so, after running the quick maths, this Cyberpunk 2077 earns itself an 84 or an 8. Hold on a second, let me just run the math again. I'm not good at doing math on the top of my head, so I'm just going to run this very quickly and I'll get the score. 20. So 84. Yep, 84. I give Cyberpunk 2077 out of 100 points and 84 out of 100 professionally. But this is only for the Xbox Series S version. For the Xbox S version. If I were to be doing this on PC or Xbox Series X, I could immediately cut out the minus 10 points I gave to the graphics because they're just a veneer for how shit they are from about 20 feet away. Easy. And this game would have scored a 94. So the Xbox Series, the Xbox S gets an 84, but the Series X, if I were playing it on that, would get a 94. And if I were playing this on the base Xbox One, I would probably give this game realistically a 74. Just because this game is not meant to run on it. Now, time for me to have a little bit of fun with CD Projekt Cucktube. Here we go. Out of 100 for the meme score. I'm giving them 5 points off because they did my boy Jackie fucking Wells dirty. I'm going to give him another 5 points off because I could not screw Pan Am. I'm sorry. Biker Tomboy. I need that in my life. That was hot and you know it and you cucked me. So that's 5 points off. I will be giving 5 points off because no big titty goth GF in this game. I will be taking another 5 points off because I could not make myself a big titty mommy goth in the character creator. I will be taking a further 5 points off because the guns are dog shit. They're all ugly. Like, there's not a single attractive gun except for the Overture in this game, in my opinion. I'll be taking a further 5 points off because no beep beep. I'll be giving this game about 5 points because I can screw literally anything that moves and is human above the age of 18 in this game. I will, however, be taking off 5 points again because there are no dogs, no cats, and no animals seen in this game. I would have liked to see, I would have liked to see coyotes out in the fucking wilderness. But there were none. I want feral doggos. And you know what? This game gets minus 20 fucking points because I could not get any fucking vending machine stuff. Seriously, you cannot buy anything from vending machines in this game. Minus 20 points because the world is not intuitive enough. So for my meme score, playing it fast and loose but retarded, I gave this game a... Holy fuck, I annihilated this piece of shit. I gave this game a 50 out of 100 for a meme score. Now, my scores, they're just my personal opinion. I like this game thoroughly, and I will be playing it again. I will play this game until it is dust. I genuinely enjoy it. But there are inexcusable elements which have to be addressed, in my opinion. Now, for all of you fucking Cyberpunk 2077 fanboys out there who are currently raging at me for giving this game anything less than a perfect score, fucking come down to my temple of pussy that is my gamer cave and fight me. I don't care. It's my opinion. You're not gonna change it by saying, Cyberpunk 2077 good, CD Projekt Red excellent. No, you're not going to change it from that. I'm not going to change my score out of pity for you. You fanboyed over this game for 8 years. You can deal with being cucked now. Sorry, I don't care. And you can blow me if you don't like it. But, that being said, the game is thoroughly enjoyable. I liked it. We'll play again. Yep, that's Dennis I. McGee, signing off. Fuck you all.